also, here's another what the fuck are you going to do about it moment. The student loan pause has expired.
Turn now to news for millions of student borrowers. The 3-year pause on federal loan payments is ending and interest begins accruing again. Payments are set to restart next month. Elizabeth Schulze is back with more from Washington on that. So break it down for us, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Hey again, Rebecca. Well, this is a day that many borrowers have been dreading as we get one step closer to those payments restarting after a 3-year pause. Since March of 2020, interest rates on federal student loan balances have been frozen at 0% as part of the government's pandemic relief program. But as of today, borrowers will be charged interest once again at the rate that they locked in before the freeze. Now, this is a big deal because interest can very quickly add up. At a 5.8% rate, the average American with a student loan balance of around $37,000 will pay nearly $25,000 in interest over the life of the loan. Now, it's important to know that you don't have to actually start making payments until October. And the White House is trying to take steps to help borrowers after the Supreme Court struck down.
What an incredible, like, Democratic Party fuck up here, you know? The classic overpromise, underdeliver. Guys, we're going to implement a patchwork solution where, like, we'll cut 3% of your interest accruing as long as you pay for it when you're in a, economic zone that you're working at in the immediate aftermath of graduating from college. It's just like, but you don't have to do any of that. You don't have to do any of that. You could just straight up say, nah, Department of Education, I own it. It's mine. We're just not. We're not requiring you to pay these loans. That's what Biden said. He has all the power in the world to actually do that. Yeah, to Pell Grant recipients who agree to work in an underserved area for 20 years, you'll be able to get a 50% off your interest over the lifetime of the fucking loan. It's great. It's fucking awesome. Sick. There is just no. This is so stupid. This in and of itself is so stupid. Like the fact that they are trying to do this as a patchwork solution instead of just straight up saying, nope, not going to happen. We don't give a fuck what the Supreme Court says. We don't give a fuck what the borrowers. We don't give a fuck what the banks say. It's our money. We're not getting it back. It's fine. We are no longer expecting these loans to come in. If that was the case, if they did that, I mean, it'd be gangbusters. You know what I mean? It would play so well for his electoral prospects.
Down President Biden's broader student debt cancellation plan. For example, it's rolling out a plan that will help lower monthly costs based on your income. But the bottom line today, experts say now is the time to log into your account and check your balance and make a plan for when those payments resume. Rebecca.
It's great advice, Elizabeth. Just do it now and go out and enjoy the weekend.
Yeah, just come on. Just start paying it again. I mean, this is such a gigantic fucking lump sum payment that you now have to engage with again. And for the past 2-3 years, the lack of said loan for millions, tens of millions of Americans have opened up a tremendous amount of financial opportunities, like being able to pay their rent, being able to continue living in the same apartment that they're living in, you know? And you look at the news media and the way that they're covering it is just so callous, like the callous indifference. Why the fuck would chat says young people will never vote for him. But I think what you guys are failing to consider is that it's not just young people that have student loan debts, man, that they're paying. There's a shit ton of old people that still have student loan debts that they are paying. We live in America. You are saddled with this lifelong financial burden for the crime of trying to become a more productive member of the American labor force. It's not just young people that have this. There's 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds that are paying student loan debt that would have tremendously benefited from this relief. The moment my student loans start again is the moment Biden is not getting my vote. The reason we know it doesn't matter if they cancel the debt, if you die, no one needs to keep paying. Yeah, that's what an amenity. The New York Times quite literally wrote that into their article where they were like, death is one way that you can stop paying the student loans debts that you have. Fucking sick. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Well, hey there.
See my last message. Student loan companies quite literally believe fuck the poor. Mine went from 3.5% when I took it out 12 years ago to 8.3% now. There's no limit either. It's a private student loan because my mom couldn't afford to pay a portion of my student loan when I was in school and with the program I had. I couldn't work at the same time. So now 13 years later, I still owe $22,000 roughly. Yeah. I'm 48. I still owe $100K in student loans. $40K is all interest. I used to work as a mortgage loan officer, and student loan debt crosses all aspects of life. Old, young, black, white, doesn't matter. Most people are strapped with that, and some never pay it off. Yeah, guys, just have rich parents or just have like a fucking family relative that wins the insanely unlikely lottery and becomes like a famous Twitch streamer. You know what I mean? Then you're fine. You're good. GG's. It's great. Sick. Sorry. I like that that's what it takes to overcome this this insane fucking this insane circumstance that only Americans have to experience in the developed world. I owe like $50K right now. The only reason I'm staying in education is so hopefully my loans can be forgiven in 10 years if the program still exists by then. I left pharmacy school with mostly federal loans at $321K in debt because of the interest rates when I just started in 08. I still owe $304 because of interest rates after 3 years of $1K payments every month. I don't qualify for any help because government programs are usually not available for pharmacists. Like, everybody talks about the trades, but like, who's going to run the pharmacy? Who's going to fucking educate your children? You know what I mean? Like, it's nutty, unimaginable that you have to pay so much fucking money, especially if you're going into a field that requires you to get higher education as well. You know what I mean? Just absolute, unimaginably stupid system that we have. How Wall Street profits from student loans?
Student loans are a big business. The U.S. has amassed over $1.7 trillion in outstanding student debt. Until recently, it was the largest non-housing debt for more than a decade.
Fucking awesome.
The first time it broke $1 trillion was back in 2012. And that's when it caught all the media attention.
We've seen a big growth in the cost of education over the past 10 or 20 years, and this has really showed up in the student loans outstanding.
But while more than 43 million Americans are currently holding student debt, many are unaware of what exactly happens with their loans.
I think it would be pretty difficult.
Yeah, America is pretty awesome because, yes, as someone also pointed out, you can't drink legally at the age of 18, but you can literally sell your body to the American government to be permanently fucked when you go overseas and get shot at, okay? You can saddle yourself with lifelong debt that you can pretty much never pay off. Can't drink, though. Can't rent a car. Can't drink. But guess what, dude? It's fucking sick. You can just sell your body to the Defense Department, okay? Awesome. Or get hundreds of thousands of dollars of fucking loans that you will never be able to pay off.
For the average American to try to track where their loan actually resides.
There exists a market where billions of dollars worth of student loans are packaged and sold as assets known as slabs to some of the biggest investors in America.
I would say that most average Americans are not aware of student loan securitizations.
These securities are very, I would say, not transparent, and it's hard to understanding by average investor.
So what exactly are slabs? And how does it help Wall Street profit from student loans? Securitization is the practice of converting assets, usually loans, into securities that can be bought and sold by investors. Wall Street uses securities to trade almost everything you can think of: auto loans, business loans, and even aircraft leases.
Let's say I'm a bank.
I'm an ER physician just finishing residency and will be crushed for a long time. Obviously, no one feels bad for someone with a physician's salary, but given inflation and housing prices, is going to be brutal. Yeah, I mean, once again, that's insane. The fact that doctors have to be saddled with hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt is fucking insane. Brother, we need that. Okay? We need that. Like, even the dumbest guy understands. Like, you could be the fucking dumbest cousin fucking hick in some rural ass, podunk, forgotten backwater area. And even you there know you need at least the vet, okay, for your cows. Like, it is mind-boggling to me that that shit ain't free in America. And let me tell you something. We have genuine problems with hospitals in rural areas, or rather, lack thereof. Hospitals are virtually non-existent. Healthcare is virtually non-existent even for those who, let's say, have the money to pay for it in rural areas. One solution to this actual legitimate problem, okay, which you only see in like pre-revolutionary dictatorships in Latin America, okay? We're talking like the Cuban dictatorship pre-Castro, right? Like, that is one of the major changes that comes with socialist revolutions in Latin American countries is that they bring hospitals to fucking forgotten parts, rural areas. America is crawling backwards towards that reality, okay, where you don't have any fucking healthcare. You don't have any hospitals. If you're living in West Virginia, what the fuck are you going to do? Oh, yeah, you got to get medevac if you have like a serious emergency, or you just die, okay? So how do you fix that? Well, here's how you fix it. You make healthcare free, okay? Or you make education free. Sorry, not healthcare. Obviously, that's not going to happen. You make education free, okay? You create a public health sector. And when doctors are doing residencies, they have to go and do their residencies. They have to go and work in rural areas. That's how you do it in a place like Turkey, for example. That's usually how you do it in most countries that have some level of socialized medicine. You're supposed to do that. That's what's supposed to happen. It's like the government is paying for your education, so now you have to do your job. You have to do the right thing and go work in an area. Maybe you don't like it, but it doesn't matter because guess what? You're a fucking doctor. You're there to save lives. That's how it works in every socialized healthcare system. It's nutty that doctors are saddled with like 400 grand worth of debt by the time they get out. But do the right thing isn't what America's about. No, it doesn't matter. You don't even have to think about it like you're doing the right thing, okay? You have to think about it like you're paying back your education, which makes fucking sense. You're paying it back. You're already paying it back. Like, you already have to pay back $400,000 of debt regardless. I was on a trip to NorCal, Mendocino Coast, broke my toe, and it took me 3 hours to find an urgent care place and got shitty care. They misbilled it and kept sending me false bills for almost a year. City wasn't that rural. It even have an EV fast charger, but no competent healthcare. Insane. Yeah. Like, this is what, for the record, what I'm describing isn't magic, okay? What I'm describing isn't that crazy. That is like the skeleton of what a government is supposed to do. This is the bare minimum, okay? The bare minimum a government is supposed to do is like protect you, make sure you have like adequate treatment, make sure you have electricity, make sure you have water. You know what I mean? It's those amenities that come with paying fucking taxes. That's the whole point. If that doesn't happen for you, why the fuck do we have a government anyway? And it blows my fucking mind. But that is also part of the reason why, okay? That's also part of the reason why you cannot separate free healthcare from free education, free college education. Okay?
And I want to issue a bunch of loans. After those loans are issued, I can then sell them to a third party in order to securitize them. Now, just because I sold them doesn't mean that I do not get to account.
Libertarian Hasanabi arc? What do you mean? No, I'm describing to you why Americans why Americans have so much disdain for the federal government and how that has been perfectly crafted by Reagan era policies just destroying the federal government's need. At this point, all that the American government does is basically take your fucking taxes, okay, and then pump it into whatever sectors is giving them a shit ton of money, right? That's all this government does. They take your taxes, they put the money into the military, and not even the military, but the private contractors that actually work alongside the American military industrial complex. Like, that's all we're doing. We're taking the money, we're giving it back in the form of subsidies to the agricultural producers, who then turn around and jack up prices however way they see fit. We turn around and get subsidies for the energy sector, who jack up prices however way they see fit. It is basically, at this point, a mediator of taking your money and giving it back to the companies who do whatever the fuck they want with the money and then give nothing in return. It's actually unimaginable. Instead of, and then some of it obviously goes to fixing the roads or maybe propping up a new school every now and then. But it's crazy to me that is the solution. Huh?
For the estimated value of those securities.
Oh, the dogs are...
I've just sold their interest to a third party. So it's a very lucrative arrangement for a corporation. It's a very lucrative arrangement for the investors.
The biggest and the most well-known type of asset-backed securities are mortgage-backed securities, or MBS. There were more than $12 trillion worth of outstanding mortgage-backed securities by the end of 2021.
Securitization, its history really started off with the mortgage market. And the mortgage market is a much larger market than other forms of consumer credit, especially other forms of financing of consumer credit. So that lends itself to being a much larger market.
Student loan asset-backed securities, or SLABs, refer to securities that are specifically built around student loans.
The way that borrowers get student loans is of two ways. If they're getting a federal student loan, they usually apply using FAFSA, right? If they're going to get a private student loan or a private credit student loan, they would apply through a bank or through a lender. The loans that are then created are bundled together into a pool. And these pools are often highly diversified by regions, by school, by borrower type, for example. And the diversification really protects the investor from losses that are idiosyncratic. They're then transferred to a special purpose trust, which is set up to hold the loans and issue the securities. Once that's done, the securities are then rated by a credit rating agency. Once they're packaged in this way, the securities are then sold to financially sophisticated institutional investors. When the borrower pays down their student loan, that cash flow is then used to pay down the investor.
Sallie Mae and Navient are the two largest publicly traded companies issuing SLABs. These assets are underwritten by some of the biggest banks and corporations, like Bank of America, Barclays, JP Morgan, and Goldman Sachs. $92 billion worth of student loans were issued as SLABs within the past 5 years.
There are two types of securitized student loans. So you have private student loans and you also have federal student loans that have been securitized.
A majority of SLABs today, 56% to be exact, are based on loans that were made before 2010 under the Federal Family Education Loan Program, also known as FFELP. These loans were enticing for many investors because they came with a federal guarantee that protected them against losses from defaults.
For about a decade, FFELP securitizations, or FFELP ABS, were the only form of student loan securitizations. It's a program where a private lender originates the loan based on the guidelines that have been put forth by FFELP. As long as those guidelines are met, the loans are guaranteed by the government, and that guarantee runs between either 97 to 100% of the loan balance.
But shares of private loans have grown with the recent boom in the private student loan market. The industry is estimated to have grown by more than 70% over the past decade.
Based on my research across the board with student loans, the biggest sense of security outside of the federal guarantee is the question of whether these loans are dischargeable in bankruptcy.
While it is certainly possible, Current bankruptcy laws make it extremely difficult for student loans to get discharged, compared to other types of debt. For investors, that translates to a lesser risk of default.
The securitization of mortgages, all student loan or auto loan, actually has a very positive motivation at the beginning. And that is to mobilize the capital around the world and channel that to the most needed. You are no longer being restricted to your local bank or a specific lender. It's just the whole liquidity enhancement around the world. So that itself is a pretty good idea, but Wall Street sometimes can go a little bit too far.
As student loans continue to balloon, experts have expressed growing concerns surrounding the slabs market. The worry is that slabs could pose a systematic risk to the American economy, similar to how subprime mortgage-backed securities contributed to the crash back in 2008.
This is something that came up for me back in 2018 when I began to study student loans, and prior to that I had been covering mortgages and specifically mortgage-backed securities. I saw the parallels and it really freaked me out because I realized that this cycle was only going to repeat. One of the key ways to uncover these similarities between student loans and mortgages is to look at the affordability issue. You have a bunch of well-intentioned people hoping that their income is going to increase. Now, when the income does not increase, you have a lot of loan debt and nothing to pay it with.
The national cohort default rate for student loans has plummeted, boosted by the payment pause during the pandemic. But the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau estimates that 1 in 5 student loan borrowers have risk factors that could cause them to struggle when federal student loan payments resume in October.
I personally do not feel like the inability to pay something back really needs to be scary. I think what's scary about it, and what was scary about 2008, was the tremendous uncertainty that everyone had about what valuation even was. Housing prices were falling dramatically. Nobody knew when housing prices were going to stop falling. And the reason that they were falling was because their valuation had been propped up by the mortgages that supported them. So when the ability to pay was
I don't know how the fuck I have more people in my house right now, and yet it is more difficult to deal with stuff that's going on outside. Okay? I had to get the cars washed. I had to get the dogs washed. And like I have to deal with all of it. I'm trying to get my mom to do it or my dad to do it. And it's just like, no, it's I think it'd be more streamlined if they could handle it on their own or if one of them was here. But when both of them are here, it's like, holy shit. All you do is sit at your computer all day. Why can't you help the family out? I mean, to be fair, it's they know better now. They used to say that back in the day, but they don't anymore. Yes. I also have to keep Kaya in here because I have to keep Kaya in here. What is happening right now? I have to. God, Fiona's barking too. I have to keep Kaya in here because she peed and pooped in the house yesterday. She actually fucked it up for the first time ever. What? Let's continue.
That's when we saw this tremendous crash in the housing market.
When discussing student loan auction rate securities, a type of slab with variable interest rates, Navient, a major player in the slabs market, acknowledged that an economic downturn may cause the market for auction rate notes to cease to exist.
Right after you bagged,
which could lead to holders of auction rate securities to experience a potentially significant loss of market value, according to an SEC filing from 2015. But not every expert sees eye to eye.
I think to say this market,
I don't get it. Why are there so many middlemen? What do they get out of moving the money around? That's what capitalism is the best at, baby. What are you talking about? That's like middlemen making money. Annen, what is going on, Anne? Can you put Fiona outside or something? What's happening? She never barks. Why is she barking? Dilimine değil. Dışarı çıkar o zaman. Okay, then put her upstairs in my room or something, please. Oh, okay. As I was stating, that's what capitalism excels at. That's what America is built on. The concept of the middleman. It's a never-ending sequence of middlemen that are artificially inflate the price because they have to justify their existence. They're the guys who are negotiating. Then there's like, you got to have an insurance structure surrounding this, and then the insurance has to also be insured as well. We create vectors of profit through man-made, built-in inefficiency, and then we create an entire industry that turns around and seeks to eliminate redundancy. There is leftist yells a brilliant doctor. I know.
It is going to be the trigger of the next financial crisis. It's really overstated.
Nobody's really concerned about the government guaranteed portion of this market. It's really that private credit market. The slabs market is much smaller.
People who say Hasanabi isn't white just haven't seen him yell at his mom. No, I'm not yelling at my mom that's next to me. I'm yelling so she can hear me because she has headphones in. Okay, that's very different. Also, I'm 32 years old.
And therefore pose less of a systemic risk to the economy.
There's no way, with the depth and the size of the US financial market, there is no way.
Increased credit enhancement following the devastation of the 2008 recession was put forth to protect against this exact scenario.
If you're looking at Moody's and Fitch, they're rating these pools with extra vigilance. They are asking for internal credit enhancement, external guarantee, extra credit support in terms of over collateralization. Even if there are substantial charge-off and stuff like that, they're mostly going to be absorbed within the internal and external credit enhancement measures that have been put forth very aggressively after the financial crisis.
Recent developments, like the 3-year pause on federal student loans and the Biden administration's initiatives to relieve student debt, have sent shockwaves through the slabs market. The volume of newly issued slabs dropped from the height of $27.3 billion in 2021 to just $7.1 billion in 2022.
I do not think that slabs is a really attractive investment at this point, given that we are in a very high interest rate environment and you look around with risk-free treasury security paying 5%. Are you really attracted to slabs at 5%? A lot of investors really don't know much going on with the pool, and the transparency is pretty bad.
But slabs are not going away anytime soon, especially as tuition continues to rise and more borrowers rely on private loans to pay for their education.
Private credit has always been used to supplement the federal loan program, and that's going to continue. I think that there will always be a need to.
Meanwhile, this has also played a role in allowing colleges to continue fucking raising their prices. It's just, the system is entirely, fundamentally broken, top to bottom.
Do so. To the extent that that continues, those lenders, the lenders of the private credit student loans, will be looking for ways to fund these borrowers.
As the student loan market faces a period of tumultuous change, the securitization market must also change and adapt to it in order to thrive.
I think in general, slabs is not evil. Slab is just an opportunity for lenders to package illiquid student loans and to create credit enhancement to a point where average investor might participate in financing in these pools. But in the meantime, though, as we move into the future, more education, more transparency about slabs is necessary if this market wants to continue and have a healthy contribution to the financing of our nation's student debt.
Fellow chatters, TWC will pay for your college if your career choice requires a college degree. Regardless of income, you just have to be diagnosed with a mental disability. The Texas Workforce Commission will pay for your student housing and college education, every single penny, if you're diagnosed with ADHD, autism, etc. My fellow comrades, please benefit from this. My brothers and I are debt-free because of it. Wait, what? Damn, there you go. You could just say you're a Twitch chatter automatically, dude. That's like, what do you mean pretend to have autism? You have permission, chatters. You're in a Twitch chat of a dude who's talking about fucking politics at 1:40 p.m. Pacific time on a Friday on Labor Day weekend. That's all you need to tell your doctor. They will slap you with an autism diagnosis so quick. Tell them you're a subscriber, and they will be like, oh, dude, oh, okay, say no more, fam. Never mind. You know? Anyway.